What's up YouTube? I'm the Planet Rocks, and here we are for another playthrough of Our Life. So as you know, last time we finished up a long day, and now we're going to be doing Sandcastle, which looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, so let's see what happens. Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When you, him, and Shiloh sat out on the shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there's no way he'd be swimming anytime soon, not with his cast. The waves washed a single shell to shore, glittering and blue, another reminder of the places he couldn't go. From what you'd heard about Cove's old life so far, in tiny pieces and fragments, you could tell that he'd do anything to be able to get the cast off. The possibilities of what he might get up to made you anxious. You thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home and his mom and dad. But now he was here, with you and Shiloh and Lizzie and everyone else, and he couldn't even go in the sea. This town wasn't bad. It had all your favorite things in it. But sitting there, on the same beach you'd grown up on, you could understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched him from the corner of your eye quietly, and he finally said aloud what you had been pondering. I wish I could go in. The water? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to be able to do it soon. Cove only sighed in response. Apparently soon wasn't soon enough. It's so pretty, the ocean. And huge. There could be anything out there, like mermaids.
Yeah.
I wish you didn't have Cass. I don't really care. Me too. Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation, Cove turned back to the water. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye. Hey, are you building a sandcastle? Sort of. I was only playing around while you were talking. I'm listening. Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before. It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away. Well, how do you do it then? Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove's expectant stare on him. I'll play too. I love making sand stuff.
Okay.
He put his hands back to his seashells and sand and nodded. I don't do a lot. Here's how I'd like to get a house started. Shiloh, focusing more intently than you'd ever seen him, guided Cove through his process. You happily used your own method. It didn't take long for the three of you to each have humble structures prepared. That's all, kind of. You can do anything now, like make it bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you'll have great ideas.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine is gonna be a real castle. Cool. This is gonna be a house. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to make a house, a castle, a mansion. We're gonna make a castle. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to build a fancy castle. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks at everyone else as he usually did. You finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you'd built. It seems you got done so fast because they already searched around for extra decorations. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cove had a lot of shells, but there were still options. The first thing you reached for was a red bottle cap, blue seashell, green piece. I'm gonna go with red bottle cap. It was the best fit for your castle, you decided. And it seemed like the lid from the sports drink that Lizzie was trying to convince your mom to let her try. So you tucked it away somewhere secure inside, barely poking out to make sure it didn't get lost. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look around that wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Cove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You knew you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. We're going to check out Cove's sandcastle. The castle Cove had built looked surprisingly tidy, especially for someone in a cast. He must have worked really hard. He wasn't even finished digging the huge gaping moat in front, but it was already enormous. You got the sense from the enthusiasm he was digging with that the doctor was probably going to find a bunch of sand when he finally removed the pink blaster. The silence was then broken. "What's on top of yours, Shiloh?" You peeked closer and discovered something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney. "Oh, it's just a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke."
Neat.
"It's good. That's smart." "Yeah, I didn't think of that. I guess. I don't see it. You should be an architect." "Kinda looks more like a worm." I'm gonna do that. A slimy worm. Sticking his tongue out in disgust, Cove's face soured. Gross. Shiloh frowned without a word. And that was that for the current topic. "Jamie, can I see what you did?" "Sure." He scooted just a bit nearer and began surveying your work. The castle you'd built was pretty impressive, all things considered. It had archways, tall walls, and even a little moat circling it. You would probably feel safe living there. Maybe your moms were the queens. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in the new conversation. "Hey Jamie, what did you do?" "I made a castle." Shiloh didn't look so happy anymore. "You both built castles?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw.
Oh, that's neat. How you guys match. It's too bad we didn't all do it. Next time we should. Wouldn't that be boring? If something is the only one of that thing, that makes it special. Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff. People too. My dad always says how everybody is their own man, a real individual. I don't think I'm very special.
Why?
Why not? Nobody else is you. Shiloh simply shook his head. I'm not different. A beat passed between the two. Cove then looked down at his own work again. Okay. He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Cove had other things on his mind. My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. I didn't want to. Cove trailed off again. There was another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Cove spoke up before he could. You didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk. Hey, do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, Jamie? You blinked, not expecting the question. You thought hard. I wasn't there, they didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. He was still kind of strange. No other parent acted like him, but you knew him better at this point. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. You were pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued.
Oh.
Well, I was there. I don't think my mom has met your dad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she hasn't. Jamie's parents and my dad met the same day I met him. I'm gonna say what happened. Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His hat cast a shadow over his face. You could still tell he was upset at not being included in Cove's choice of topic. That was kind of boring for him, though giving people their own turn to say the things they want is important too. You stayed silent, let Cove finish his story. Shiloh could talk about stuff after Cove had a chance to share what he planned on. When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us, only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. I sat in there while Dad brought it all outside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that. His lips twisted into a frown as he recalled that. Then I guess your moms, they were in a car too and stopped at your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand, then went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. I don't know what they said, I couldn't hear it. But he couldn't see me anymore since he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. I found those hills there, the ones where we met for the first time. Cove nodded and stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say anything more. Is that it? Cove's brow wrinkled like he didn't understand why you were surprised.
Huh?
That's all that happened. You're welcome. Even if not much happened, you weren't going to complain about knowing the story. Shiloh's mouth twisted into a scowl of disbelief, but he said nothing. Why'd you bring that up, anyway? There was a slight shrug of Cove's shoulders.
Well...
I was thinking about it because of the sandcastle. It made me remember when I moved to here. Dad showed me the beach first, before we went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason. Cove's brows furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hands through the sand. I get it. You thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach and was instead hoping Cove might be. But the line of conversation had come to its end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other, and you could only wonder what this might be about. Hey, Shiloh. Yeah? Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing is happening? Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the conversation again. I don't know, I guess. Okay, it's kinda weird. Shiloh's eyes were wide with embarrassment and his lips twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. Maybe it wasn't only this, perhaps it was simply the last straw, but it was a big deal to Shiloh, a huge deal. He didn't look sad, he seemed almost panicked. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what, but you soon got an answer. Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses, and nobody is named Cove.
Where's Cuticum?
It was probably just your dad bugging Jamie's family some more because you don't have anyone else who will ever play with you. Cove blinked. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to even mention. It didn't seem like the kind of thing he'd get upset about, though you hadn't ever known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh. I'm sorry. Me too. I was just wondering. Hey, yeah. The day is going to be over soon. Jamie, you're right. The sun is going down so fast. You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Cove looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. The air stayed uncomfortable the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to take him home. At least you'd tried to do something to resolve it, though, and it seemed like it had helped. Even though Shiloh's smile when he said goodbye to Cove wavered, it stayed as bright as ever for you. That had to count for something. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. You followed him as he made his way out of the sand. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against the sidewalk in near perfect unison. Cove was clearly caught up in thinking about something. You asked Cove what he was thinking. The prospect of asking made you nervous, but you did anyway. Hey, is everything, okay?
Oh.
I was just wondering. Cove fell silent again for a few more seconds, then sighed. Why'd Shiloh act like that, when I said he was all red a lot? Being rude, he's just being vain. Embarrassed, but I didn't say anything that bad. It might have upset him anyway? I guess I can get it. Why he would do that. Sometimes I get really mad too. Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour.
Um.
Hey Jamie, was Shiloh telling the truth? Huh? His gaze left yours as he dug the sole of his shoe into the ground. He looked oddly vulnerable for a second. Does my dad make you hang out with me? Uh-oh. I know he talks to your moms about that a lot. An uncomfortable weight settled in your chest at the question. You liked spending time with Cove. You didn't even have to think hard about it. You knew you did. But you couldn't help feel guilty. Cove still didn't know what happened when you met Mr. Holden. Oh boy. Oh, son of a gun. Do we come clean or what? I am gonna... No, it's not the time. No, but no. Cove's shoulders relaxed. You hadn't even noticed that he had tensed up. Oh, sorry guys, I clicked it too quick. Anyway, I didn't think you were pretending. I just wanted to make sure it was okay, is all.
Thanks.
Thanks for telling me. Your throat tightened. It was hard to meet Cove's earnest gaze again. Keeping secrets was hard. Yeah. By now, the two of you were on the sidewalk near your houses. It was time to part ways. Let's hug him goodbye. You stepped forward and wrapped your arms around him tightly. You turned your head, resting your cheek on his shoulder. Cove stood there awkwardly with his hands at his sides. He wasn't much of a hugger, but you didn't get the impression he was unhappy that you were. Bye, Cove. See you tomorrow. Yeah, bye, Jamie. You pulled away, then jogged towards your house. When you looked back, you saw Cove making his way back home too. As if he felt your eyes on him, he turned around. He waved. You did too. You still felt a little unsure with what you were supposed to do about the deal Cove's dad had offered. You didn't want to say something bad or something you shouldn't. You had no idea how Cove would take it either. It would be terrible if it made him feel bad. What if he didn't want to play with you anymore? You might change your mind sometime. There was always tomorrow after all, but for now, it was definitely something that you'd keep to yourself. With a final look, you went inside your house. Alrighty, guys. Thank you again for joining me on this playthrough of our life. It's been another fantastic playthrough. So we will do Fireflies next time, and then we will click, and then summer ended, and we'll start step 2 of this game. Thank you so much for joining me. I am the Planet Rocks. Please do subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications, be sure to like this video. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, and you can like my Facebook page. Links are on my About page on Facebook. That'll lead you to the Twitter page and also back to YouTube. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I am the Planet Rocks, and I'll see you next week.